What if I told you that Russia, the largest nation on Earth, was born from a single Viking expedition, a land of emperors and revolutions, of conquest and collapse, forged by blood and ambition? But how did a frozen wilderness rise to dominate world history? Let's journey through the untold saga of Russia's origins. In the 9th century, the lands we now call Russia were a patchwork of warring tribes. Then came the Varangians, Norse adventurers from Scandinavia. Led by a warrior named Rurik, they established the first Rus state in 862 AD, ruling from the city of Novgorod. But it was under Rurik's successor, Oleg, that a great city would rise, Kiev. The Kievan Rus, a powerful federation of Slavic and Norse peoples, was born. Trade flourished along the Dnieper River, linking northern Europe to the riches of the Byzantine Empire. Gold, furs, and slaves flowed through this new kingdom, and with them came power. By the 10th century, the Kievan Rus was one of the most powerful states in Europe, rivaling the Byzantines. Under Vladimir the Great, it embraced Orthodox Christianity, forging a religious and cultural identity that still shapes Russia today. Churches rose, laws were written, and alliances were formed. But power invites enemies. The once mighty Kievan Rus fragmented into warring principalities. Then, in the 13th century, a storm came from the east. In 1237, the Mongols arrived like an unstoppable force of nature. Led by Batu Khan, the Golden Horde burned Kiev to the ground, slaughtering thousands. Cities fell one by one, their rulers either bending the knee or perishing in fire. For over 200 years, Russia was shackled under Mongol rule, forced to pay tribute to the Khans. Yet, amid this devastation, Moscow rose in the shadows. By playing the Mongols against their rivals, Moscow's rulers gained wealth and influence, slowly turning their city into the beating heart of a future empire. By the 14th century, Moscow had grown in strength, its princes biding their time. Then came Ivan III, known as Ivan the Great. In 1480, he finally broke Russia free from Mongol control in a legendary standoff at the Ugra River. With the Mongols retreating without battle, Moscow was now the center of Russian power, and Ivan proclaimed himself ruler of all Rus. But his grandson would be remembered for something far darker. Ivan IV, crowned the first Tsar of Russia, expanded the empire beyond the Ural Mountains, defeating the once mighty Khanates of Kazan and Astrakhan. Russia's borders stretched farther than ever before. Yet his rule descended into madness. He created the Oprichnina, a secret police force that terrorized his own people. Entire towns were massacred, nobles were tortured, and suspicion ruled the land. He even killed his own son in a fit of rage, leaving Russia without a clear heir. Despite his cruelty, his reign laid the groundwork for an empire that would span 3 continents. The Romanovs, Peter the Great, Catherine the Great. Under their rule, Russia became a superpower. Peter built a navy and modernized the army, dragging Russia into the European sphere. Catherine expanded the empire, conquering Crimea and parts of Poland. By the 19th century, Russia stood as one of the greatest empires in history. But no empire is invincible. In 1917, the empire crumbled under revolution. The Tsar was overthrown, and the Soviet Union was born. A new era had begun. Under Lenin and later Stalin, Russia transformed into a communist superpower. The cost? Millions perished in purges, famines, and gulags. Then came World War II. Hitler's armies stormed into Russia, reaching the gates of Moscow. But the Red Army stood firm. The Battle of Stalingrad turned the tide, and by 1945, Soviet soldiers raised their flag over Berlin. Russia had become one of 2 global superpowers, locked in a Cold War with the United States. Space race victories, nuclear standoffs, and political upheavals defined the 20th century. Then, in 1991, the unthinkable happened. The Soviet Union collapsed. From Viking warlords to Soviet superpower, Russia's story is one of survival, expansion, and reinvention. A land shaped by conquerors and visionaries, torn between East and West, always on the edge of transformation. Even today, Russia's place in world history continues to evolve. And as history has shown, Russia is never done rewriting its destiny. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Russia's history, hit that like button and subscribe for more epic stories from the past. What historical event should we cover next? Let us know in the comments.